Over a year ago now, I made a video where I reviewed every single Jolly game in the series. With Jolly being one of the most hyped up fan game series there is to play, I was very surprised with the game's quality. A few months after that video was released, I was made aware that the series had actually been soft rebooted. This birthed two new games in the Jolly series, those being Jollibees and Jollibees Phase 2. I made another video covering Jollibees, but never got around to checking out Phase 2. Ever since then, I've been getting countless comments from you guys telling me I need to check out this final installment. So that's exactly what I did today. So join me today as we find out if Jollibees Phase 2 really does live up to its hype. Before that though, this video is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. I'm sure you have all heard of it, but what is it really about? With over 700 unique champions, 15 factions, 12 dungeons to conquer, engaging PvP combat, regular content updates, and endless customization, it's safe to say that Raid Shadow Legends is one of the most content-rich games there is to play. Raid has amassed over 400 million players worldwide, and you can join them today by using my link in the description to download the game completely free on your smartphone or even your desktop. One aspect of Raid I personally enjoy is summoning new champions, seeing which ones I get, and then pairing them together to create the ultimate team. New players can also get their hands on Stag Knight, who is one of the best champions in the game, as well as this really cool skin for the character designed by JonTron. Just use promo code JTSkin before October 7th and the champion and skin are yours. And if you're not a new player, don't worry. You can still get the Stag Knight champion and their skin by completing an in-game event. And recently, they've also added Hydra Clash, a new clan-based competition where you and 4 other clans can see who can smack the Hydra boss the hardest. So, what are you waiting for? New players, use my link or scan the QR code in the right-hand corner to get a free starter pack with this amazing in-game loot. Thanks once again to Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring the video. Now let's get back to the game. Before going into Jollibees Phase 2, quick recap on Jollibees. Jollibees took place at the Jollibees restaurant after it had been closed. We learned in the intro cutscene of that game that the restaurant was shut down after a mysterious man broke into the kitchen and added chemicals to the food that was later given to the children. Throughout the game, we spend our time as a night guard, watching over the Jollibees animatronics while also doing unique tasks around the building after every single night. At the end of the game, we get another cutscene where we see technicians attempting to fix the Hetty animatronic, who seems to be alive.
Never go near her. She must be put down. The thing must be thrown away.
We then get another cutscene where our main protagonist is told to get into the Hetty suit before this happens.
Great! Now the animatronic parts are tucked away, you can now go right inside and wear the suit. You are now inside the animatronic suit. Now you should be able to see the suit maintenance screen. The first step of troubleshooting the suit is to
You don't.
It's over. We got him.
Very well. Now on to Phase 2.
This kicks off Jollibees Phase 2. Jollibees Phase 2 opens up with our new protagonist receiving a call from his boss Michael. Michael informs us that we will be getting a new shipment from the restaurant Jollibees that is just down the street. We learn that Jollibees was shut down for health code violations and the animatronics are being shipped over to our workplace, LBM Shipments, for investigation. After this, we load into the warehouse management interface. This is basically our main menu of the game, and here we can navigate throughout the various different tasks the game has us complete, but more on that after night 1. During these nights, instead of having to survive until 6 AM, instead we need to send a certain amount of shipments to their proper locations. To do this, we can open up a tablet to our left which has 2 windows on it. The window on the left is the conveyor belt where we need to send our shipments. We do this by turning on the conveyor belt and matching each of the shipments to their respective letters. This isn't too difficult, but we need to do a lot of them, with the number of shipments being required to beat the night going up as the night progresses. On the right window, we have 4 different options to defend against the animatronics. We have a motion detector which will tell us where the animatronics are located in the shipping facility, cameras which are not very useful due to the conveyor belts being a blind spot to them, an audio lure which is very useful in luring the animatronics away from your location, and a hacking tool which can be used temporarily to stun an animatronic. Failing to do this hack properly though will result in the system shutting down, costing you precious time during your night. The really cool thing about these different defenses against the animatronics is we are able to pick which ones work best for us and stick to those ones. This gives the player agency over how the gameplay feels, making each player's experience unique to them. Another really cool thing about the conveyor belt mechanic is that moving the conveyor belt on the left window also moves the conveyor belt scattered throughout the facility. This means that if you happen to turn on the conveyor belt while an animatronic is on it, that animatronic will be carried closer to your location, arriving in front of your window in a much faster time frame. This adds a risk-reward element to the conveyor belt, making the player question when the right time is to use it and when it should be kept off. If an animatronic does reach our office, they will be seen standing outside of the window in front of it. For some animatronics, we need to flash them with our flashlight, while others need to be hidden from by going under the table. This can be really tricky because the flashlight dies very fast and has a long cooldown. This means that if multiple animatronics arrive back to back, there is a big chance you won't be able to flash them both. This puts the responsibility on the player to make sure the animatronics' arrival times are long enough apart to give the flashlight time to regenerate. On top of all of this, our motion detector, cameras, audio, and hacking can all go out of order, requiring us to use our tablet on the right side of the office to reboot them. This can take a pretty long time, so it's up to you to manage your resources properly if you plan on getting through the night. After finishing night 1, we are rewarded with $1,200 and sent back to the warehouse management interface. Here we can choose to either upgrade our different systems, go into night 2, or do optional side jobs to earn more money. This is really cool and unique from any other fan game I have played. This gives the player even more expression of strategy by letting them upgrade the tools they use most frequently. Here you can develop your own method for getting through the nights, which makes the game once again feel unique for each player's playthrough. The optional side jobs are also really cool and all feature unique gameplay mechanics that were pretty stressful to get through. The first of these jobs is box transportation. In this one, we need to drive around a forklift, picking up boxes with designated numbers on them and returning them to their proper shelves. While doing this, we also need to worry about a few different animatronics. Throughout our time moving the boxes, we also need to make sure we are turning around frequently to both listen for and look for any threats present. If we hear an animatronic breathing, we need to hold our breath, and if we see one in front of us, we need to shine our light on them. How good we do during the job determines how much money we get, so it's in our best interest to do as well as we possibly can. The second job offering we are able to do is box checking. In this mini game, a conveyor belt brings over a box, which has various details on it regarding its shipment. Next to this conveyor belt is a monitor displaying similar information to what is on these boxes. It is up to us to decide whether or not the monitor's information matches up with the info on the boxes. The more boxes we get right, the more money we get, so it's a good idea to take our time and make sure we are choosing properly. Also, just like the last mini game, we are able to look behind us. Here we will again need to both use our flashlight and hold our breath to avoid various different animatronics out to kill us. Whenever the conveyor belt moves, it is extremely loud, making it nearly impossible to hear approaching animatronics, which just adds a new layer of difficulty to this already hard side job. The third job offering is printing, which in my opinion is the most frustrating out of them all. In this one, there is once again a loud conveyor belt just like the previous mini game. Instead of having to match info though like the previous one, this time we need to type in the proper code before shipping the box off. To do this, we need to click a button to stop whichever number is rotating. The problem is the numbers move extremely fast, so timing the actual click of the button is harder than it seems. Also, if you put in a wrong number, you can't go back, meaning you have to just give up on that box and move on to the next. Just like the last two jobs, again we can look behind us and use our light as well as hold our breath to defend ourselves. Since the conveyor belt was so loud, I would typically just hold my breath whenever it was bringing in the next box, and I'm not sure if this strategy works all the time, but it worked out pretty well for me. This still is the most frustrating side job though. Timing the buttons is just so annoying. Also, this is the longest of the 4 jobs, making it not worth it at all for the pay. For the final job opportunity, we have driving, which was actually my go-to job during the playthrough. In this one, just like all the previous jobs, we need to worry about looking behind us, flashing our light on 2 animatronics, as well as holding our breath every once in a while in order to survive. Behind us, we have a computer which we use to control a robot. We need to use this robot to pick up various boxes labeled with different letters. We then need to bring these boxes to their respective section of the facility. This can be pretty time consuming because you can't see the whole facility at once. I think this minigame is the best though, because it's not overly punishing, but still challenges the player to memorize where each box belongs if they wish to get through the job pretty quickly. So yeah, that was all the side jobs we are able to do. I really like the idea of this because it allows the player to tackle the game in whichever order they please. One complaint I have about it is you are able to do whichever job you want as many times as you please. This means that if there is one particular job you find the easiest, you will most likely end up just spamming that one instead of experiencing all the jobs the game has to offer. I think the gameplay would have benefited if it prevented the player from doing the same job more than once. Regardless though, this is still a super cool idea and made the game stand out a lot. As for nights 2 through 5, each of them is the same gameplay wise. Each night the number of boxes we need to transport increases, making the time we need to fend off the animatronics and survive much longer. We have Popo and Yum, who both need to be shined by our flashlight whenever they approach our window. Twirly, who we will need to hide under the desk from and also avoid her stare. Hetty, who we once again need to hide under the desk from while also avoiding her hand. And finally Jollibee, who once again we need to hide under the desk from. I understand that the way the gameplay was designed for this entry does not require each animatronic's gameplay to vary that much, but I still think I would have liked it if each animatronic behaved a little differently. It feels like all the animatronics can be dealt with in a very similar way, which takes a lot away from the character's uniqueness. Regardless though, the gameplay in this fan game really impressed me. It does something that no other fan game has done, and actually managed to execute it without the game feeling buggy or unbalanced. After shipping our last 100 boxes on night 5, we get one final cutscene to end off the game.
Hey there, Kevin Johnson here. Look, let's just cut to the chase here. I'm dying. I ordered Phase 1's Soul Captivation project, and it turned out great. I'm now initiating a Phase 2 of that project, which is the test of reliability of using an animatronic robot to preserve human life. If this project works, you'll see my brain embedded to an endoskeleton skull. That is all. End of memo.
Don't worry, everything is all in place now.
Phase 2 will begin in 3, 2, 1.
Overall, I really enjoyed Jollibee's Phase 2. The game offered unique mechanics and actually tried to innovate on the original format for a FNAF style game. I respect the developers for taking the risk of trying something new, and I think it paid off in the end. In all honesty though, it's hard for me to say that this was better than Jollibee's Phase 1, as that game felt like it overall just had more content. But nonetheless, this was a very interesting fan game that I do not regret checking out. With that being said though, that's gonna be it from me. I hope you guys all enjoyed the video, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.